Okay, so hello everyone. This is day 5 of Django REST framework, which is nothing but DRF. So here we will understand one important concept, which is nothing but mixing. Okay, or we can call it mixed in. Okay, so what is this mixed in concept? Basically, it is used to add the functionality on a particular class without changing into the main logic. Okay, and this mixin provide the reusability, code reusability provided by the mixin. Okay, so what happens, like for example there is a parent class, so it provide the functionality to child class. Okay, so what does it mean? Let me write here so that you can understand. And this mixing is very important concept, and in the upcoming videos we will use most of the time this mixing concept in our upcoming projects, right? So let's try to understand it. So so mixing is used for what? Class, mixing class which acts as parent class, right? So mixing class acts as a parent class to provide functionality to child class only for child class, not but not to the parent class. Okay, next point is we will not create object of object for mixing. Okay, so mixing is like a decorator concepts. In decorators, what happens when there is a function? So without changing the function logic, we can provide the extra functionality to that particular function. But in mixing, we provide that extra functionality to class. So one class will inherit mixing class, right? And it will provide the reusability and functionality. So it provide what? Code reusability. Okay, so it is used for code reusability purpose, right? So what we will do inside our project, whatever project we have created in last class, in that project, what we will do, we'll create one mixin file and we will create where mixin class. Okay, so task is what? Inside test tab, create file mixin.py. Right? So let's open the VS Code. So this is the project we are working on. So right now we are working on the project without REST. Okay, we are not using the REST framework as of now. Okay, because we are learning how to build the API without REST, right? But we will use the REST from maybe from upcoming videos, right? So here what we have to do in the test application, we have to create one mixin. Okay, let's try to do it. Okay, so just click on the test application. Let's just close this. Click on the test application, click on this icon and write here file name as mixins.py, right? And close everything here, right? So here what we have to do, we have to write the class name. Okay, so let's suppose I'm writing class name is class HTTP response mixin. Okay, so we will send HTTP response from this mixin class, and here we will write one object. Okay, because in Python every class is a child class of which class? Object class. And here we will write one method which is def render to response. Okay, so first keyword is self, the second one is JSON data. And here we will return the HTTP response. So in order to return the HTTP response, we need to import the HTTP. So from Django.http import HTTP response. And now we can return HTTP response. Return HTTP response. And in the HTTP response, we will return the JSON data. Okay, and what is the content type? The content type is nothing but it is application / JSON, right? So this mixin class will inherited by the other classes which will be created in view, right? So let's see. Okay, so what we will do basically, we will import this class, this mixin code in our views.py file. Okay, we will import this file, mixin file where in views.py file, and we will make this class as a parent class of our like views. I mean whatever class we have created in view. So this that view will inherit this class, and this class object we will create in views.py file, right? So let's see how to do it. So just go to the views.py file, and in the views.py file, okay, so we have JSON cpp2, right? And here we will create the object of which class? We'll create the object of mixin class. But before creating the object, we need to import which class? Mixin class, mixin file. Okay, so from test app dot mixin. Okay, import what? Import the class which is HTTP response mixin, right? And what we will do now, now we will make this class. Okay, we will inherit this class. So in order to inherit this class, after the view we have to write here HTTP mixin, right? And after that, what we will do, okay, we can remove this HTTP response line, okay, because this line we have already written in the mixin, so we can create object of it. So in order to create the object, we will write self dot render to response. Okay, so render to response is where in the mixin, as you can see, we have a one function called render to response. Okay, and this render to response function is returning what? HTTP response. But what we are using, we are creating the object of it. Okay, and this method is required in the mixin. You can see this method is required what? JSON data. Okay, so we need to pass JSON data while creating the object, right? So as you can see here in views.py, okay, so in the views.py file, what we are doing here, we are creating the object. Okay, so basically here we have to pass the JSON data. Okay, we already have JSON data now. We can pass this JSON underscore data. Okay, and this JSON data will go to here. Okay, and what we are returning? JSON data. So who is returning this HTTP response mixin is returning. Why? Because we made the child class. Okay, we made the child class. We created the child class of mixin which is JSON CVB2. And HTTP response mixin is a parent class for this JSON CVB2. Right? So now let's see. Now let's run our main application. Okay, which is Django application CD, not CD, but we will write here py manage.py run server. Just go to URL. Okay, don't go to URL. Just open this and create one more terminal. Take one more terminal, and here just try to call this test tool, test to app. Okay, so this is a third-party application. Let's see now this third-party application is bringing all the response because we have done some changes in JSON PU2, and with with this endpoint we are accessing the data, and this endpoint is associated with our JSON2. So as you can see here, this API JSON CBB2 is associated with JSON CBB2. Okay, so let's see now whether it's bringing the results or not. Okay, so we will run the application py test 2.py. Okay, so all the response are coming perfectly, right? So what I said, when you use the mixin, it provides the code reusability. Okay, so here we have to write like mix in class which acts as a parent class to provide the functionality to the child class, right? Okay, right. And see this thing you can write everywhere. Wherever you have written HTTP response, you can write just this. Here also we can write. Here also we can type. Okay. And still you will see there is no problem. Result will come. Okay, so all the methods are calling successfully by the third party application. Okay, so now let's understand another concept. Let's suppose I have to build a web API using third party Django DRF. Okay, Django REST framework. So let's try to understand this. Developing web APIs by using third party Django REST framework, okay, which is known as DRF. Okay, so from here we are starting with REST. Okay, so what are the advantages of this DRF? Let's try to understand advantages of DRF. Okay. So the first advantage is we can create the browsable API. Browsable API, and is, and the second advantage of this DRF is we can create token authen- authentication. Okay, and there is one more authentication which is a like auth 92 provide security, or we can say authentication. Okay, so it's provide serializer serializers both ORM and non-ORM, right? And the fourth advantage of Django framework is extends extensive document extensive documentation and great community support. Now the question is how to use Django DRF. So in order to install the Django DRF, how to install DRF? So in order to install the DRF, let's search here, open a new tab and search Django REST framework. Okay, and just click on this link, and here is the website. So you have to visit this website in order to install the Django DRF. Now, installation process. So the installation process is okay. So these are the installation steps. Pip install Django framework, pip install Markdown, pip install Django filters. Now let's see the demo application. Okay, so now we will create the project with REST API. Earlier we have created a project without REST API, but now we will create the project with REST API. Okay, today is which day? Today is day 5. So we'll create a folder with DRF day 5. Okay. So now what we have to do basically, we'll create the application. Okay. So, so in order to create the Django project, what command we have to write? So we will write the command like Django admin start project and the project name. Let's support with REST, and this is one. So this is a project name. Now go into the project folder, cd with REST one. Okay. After that, what we have to do in the set. Okay, so let's create a test application first. So py manage.py start app and test app. Now register this test app in the settings. Okay, so one more thing we have to configure here, which is REST framework. So how to configure it? In install app, we will write this REST framework, right? After configuring the REST framework in the installed application, now we have to create the URL for the REST framework. Okay, so how to create the URL? You can see here. So REST framework contain what application level URL, because we are using third-party application. REST framework, we are using a different application. This is not created by us. So we are using the third-party application. So for the third-party application, there is like application level URL. That is why we have written here include function, and we are saying inside the REST framework, whatever URLs, whatever endpoints are there, use those endpoints. So what we will do, we will just copy this. Okay, and we will go here and we will paste it in the URL. Okay, so now we have to import the include as well. Include function, which is predefined function. Okay, so these are the steps we have to do. So what are the steps we have followed so far? So we have created the project. add test tab, and rest. What we have to add rest framework in things.py. Okay, right. Next thing is we have to create the urls.py, and it contains what application label URL. So that is why we have to use the include function in the URLs. So this Django DRF, it provide one particular thing which is known as serialization. Okay, so Django serializer is very important to learn for the interview purpose point of view and for your knowledge point of view. So let's see the CRL. I mean the serializer. So we have serializer in DRF, serializers. Okay, so DRF, nothing but Django REST framework. Serializers are responsible for three activities. Okay, so what are the three activities? The first activity is serial serialization. Okay, second activity is deserialization. The third one is validation. Okay, so these are the three activities. These are the most important three activities provided by the serialization serializers. Okay, and there is note one important point to note, which is DRF serializer will work very similar to Django form and model form. So let's understand what is serialization first. So serialization means, like in Python, we have already discussed about pickling. Okay, so pickling and unpickling. Pickling means, for example, let's suppose there is an object. What is this? Let's suppose this is an object, and this object we want to store into the file. Okay, so when you are storing this object permanently into a file, so this concept is known as pickling. Storing the object into the file is known as pickling. Okay, so this pickling is nothing but serialization. Okay, so this pickling process is nothing but a serialization. Okay, for example, let's suppose I have to access all the records from the database. So how we access all the records from the database? So generally what we write employee employee dot object dot all. Okay, so this all method return what? Query set. It returns one query set, right? So let's suppose we want to access only one employee detail. Here we are getting all the employee records, but let's suppose I want to get one employee detail only. So what I will do, I will write here employee dot object dot all. I will not write. Okay, so what I will write, I will write here get. So get means we will write ID of that employee. So let's suppose ID of that employee is 1. So I will get one employee. Okay, so what I will get? One employee record here. Okay, so here I will not get all the employee. So one employee. Okay, so this one employee is nothing but a model instance. Okay, because tables are what? Models we create. Models nothing but class. Employee class we have created. That is nothing but model. So this employee is an instance of which class? I mean, this is the model instance. We can say this is nothing but a model instance, right? So what we have to do with this model instance, we convert into dictionary. Okay, so this model instance we convert into dictionary, and this is which dictionary? Python dictionary. Python dictionary. And then Python dictionary too we convert it into JSON. Okay, so what is serialization means? Serialization means data, any type of data we are converting into dictionary. Okay, means complex object we are converting into dictionary. And if once it is converted into Python dictionary, it's very easy to convert into the JSON. Dictionary to JSON we can go. But for example, there is HTML response. Okay, HTML or maybe string response. Right, HTML response is coming and string response is coming. Let's suppose some object response is coming. So this type of conversion into JSON, it is kind of impossible. It's very difficult. But dictionary to JSON, it is very easy. We already have converted dictionary to JSON using dumps and JSON response. So that is why what we are doing here, we are using serialization to converting the model instance or any type of object to the JSON format. Okay, first it will convert into a dictionary and dictionary to JSON. So I hope you're understanding the concept. Okay, so what's the meaning of serialization? Let's understand it. The process of converting complex data types, model Model instance means, for example, you're accessing one employee detail only, so that is what instance of the model. Or query set. Query set means multiple records are there. So the process of converting complex data types, model instance or query set, into what? Into Python native data type. Okay, Python native data types. Like what? Like dictionary. It's called serialization. The advantage is converting to JSON is very easy. Okay, means what we are doing, like one object we are storing into the file. Okay, so that process is known as pickling, okay, or serialization, right? So, but in serialization, what we do? Okay, so serialization convert our data into what? Complex data, say any data into Python dictionary, then it's very easy to convert into what? JSON. Okay, so let's create one models.py file. So in the desktop, you can find the models.py. So let's create here one class, employee dot employee number, name, models dot integer field, dot character field, max length, dot cell, models dot float field, and address, models dot character field, max length, dot. Serialization.py file inside test app folder. So here, let's import the serialization module. So where is serialization module available? So from REST underscore framework import. Okay, so import what? Serialize, serializers. Okay, so what is the problem? Okay, so I think we didn't install that REST framework. We have used, but we haven't installed. Okay, so what is the installation? Just click on, just copy this and paste it here. And the second thing is markdown. Okay, the next one is filters. Okay, so now now there is no error. These installation steps we have already discussed now. We didn't follow. Here we have discussed all the installation steps. Anyway, now what we have to do, here we have to use class employee. We are creating employee class, serializer, employee serializer we are creating, and this is the child class of which class? Serializers dot serializers is what module. Inside the serializers module there is one class called serializer. Okay, so this serializer class is a super class or parent class. Okay, so here we have to create employee number, e name, e cell, and e address, right? So employee number is what? Serializers dot integer field. Okay, and this will be serializers dot character field, and here also we'll give the max length. Let's suppose 60. And okay, so now how much length we have given here? 40. So let's keep it 40 as of now. E cell. So E cell, here we will write serializers dot float field, and here we will write serializers dot character field. The max length is, so this is, we have created the serializers class, employee serializer. Now the next step is make migration and migrate. Okay, so make make migrations and migrate. Okay, so what we have to do, just go here and right here clear screen and just type here command which is py manage.py make migrations. Okay, py manage.py migrate. Okay, so these two commands you have to write. so that you can get the table of model, whatever model class you have created, so you can get the table for the same. So next is admin.py. So register your model in admin.py file. So that we can access it through the admin. So first of all, let's import your class. So from RestAPI.models, import employee. Now we have to create class employee with admins admin dot model admin, right? Dist underscore display, and here we will write all the fields name: e number, e name, e cell, and we will write e address, right? Now what we will do, we will register both the classes, admin dot site dot register. Here first of all we will write the employee class name, employee. Second is employee admin, right? So after this, what we have to do? We have to create the super user. So how to create the super user? To create the super user, we have to write here. Okay, so py manage.py to create super. Okay, so the spelling mistake. Py manage.py. So e number, e name, e cell, e address. What we have written: e number, e name, e cell. Okay, address I have written, but we have to write e address. Okay, is created now. So username admin, pass email blank, password 123. Again password 123. Yes. Okay. So created. Okay. So if you will see this table, which is the employee table. So as of now, this table is empty. Okay, there is no data into it. And the same table you can see from the admin as well. So py manage.py run server. So now just go here and refresh it. So go to the admin, enter the password admin 123. Okay, so here is the employee. Okay, so what's the error? Okay, so at the time of migration there was an issue. So we have to do the make migration and migrate. Now migrate because that column has created with wrong name. So now that is fine. Now run the server, right? So just go here, refresh. Okay, just click on employee table. Just add employee. So 101. The employee name is Nobita. Employee salary is 12,000. Employee address is Jaipur. Save it. Add another employee 102. Okay, and the name is, let's suppose, Arvas. On salary is like for 34,000. Address is Hyderabad. Okay, just click on save. Add one more person. Okay, 103. And right here, name like Akil. And salary is 33,000 and from Firozabad. Okay, so we have this employee data, and the same thing you can see here as well. Just let me open this. Okay, employee table. So here you can see all the three entries, right? Okay, so now we have to do one, like now we have to start learning about serialization. Means not learning but implementing serialization. Okay, so implementing serialization nothing but, like for example, if you want to read employee details, so employee object. Okay, so if you want to read all the employee details, so employee object. And let's suppose there is one employee detail you want to access, so model instance, that is. So how we can convert this object into JSON? Okay, how we can convert this into JSON, uh, from dictionary to JSON? Okay, because this object will convert into the dictionary, then we can convert that into JSON. Okay, so this process is nothing but serialization, right? So this is one of the important concept, and we will implement it by, like in the next class we will discuss about this, and we will try to convert object into what JSON. Okay, so thank you everyone for giving your valuable time. Next lecture will be most important.